Biden is at his best when he's, not talking about policy, but just sort of making a connection with people. He's done that a lot over his 50-year political career, and he's trying to do that at these high-profile fundraisers. He's going to the West Coast at the end of this week to do the same thing in LA, and there he'll be expecting a lot of Hollywood celebrities, music industry people, to sort of take the message that he's giving to them and then transmit it to the rest of their fans and followers, what have you.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by White House reporter Christian Datoc. Christian, President Joe Biden sort of raised a little bit of eyebrows this week when he made a comment about whether or not he'd be running if someone else wasn't running. Just walk us through that a little bit.
Well, President Biden was holding these fundraisers in Boston on Tuesday. He's doing this to sort of reassure the Democratic donor class that, hey, even though Trump is rising, we can still do this. I need your support, yada, yada, yada. But during one of those events, he flat out said, I don't think I would be running if Trump wasn't going for the White House also. Now, he almost immediately walked that back once he got back to Washington and told reporters, I'd be running regardless. If he drops out for some reason, I'm staying in the race. But the damage has already been done at that point, and it sort of opened up this can of worms on a question the media and even Democratic voters are talking about, and it's, is Joe Biden too old to be president again?
Right, so it raises the age issue, which has obviously been a problem for Biden. It's plagued him throughout this early phases of the campaign. But it also seems to undermine one of the Biden campaign's talking points, is that he's really the guy who best win this election.
That's right, and he sort of muddied the waters even further when he told reporters on Wednesday that he thinks that there are maybe 50 other Democrats who could beat former President Trump. But he said he still is committed to running and he's committed to winning. So naturally, again, this raises the question, why is Biden, who when he came into office in 2021, a lot of us thought he was going to sort of be a bridge to a younger candidate in 2024, why is he running if there are other Democrats who can win? He's wildly unpopular, and again, he'll be 82 years old when sworn in for his second term. This is sort of an issue that the Biden campaign and the White House have been dancing around for months now, and it's definitely not going to go away, and it's thanks to Joe Biden himself.
And he does seem to have the tendency to say things at some of these fundraisers that maybe he wouldn't say if the cameras were rolling, but the press is there for these, so these are comments that get reported.
There are some reporters in the room, but the coverage is called pen and pad, and basically what that means is there's no recording devices, whether it's audio or television cameras. And so you can make the argument that lets Joe be Joe. Biden is at his best when he's, not talking about policy, but just sort of making a connection with people. He's done that a lot over his 50-year political career, and he's trying to do that at these high-profile fundraisers. He's going to the West Coast at the end of this week to do the same thing in LA, and there he'll be expecting a lot of Hollywood celebrities, music industry people, to sort of take the message that he's giving to them and then transmit it to the rest of their fans and followers, what have you. This is a strategy the Biden team has been employing on a number of issues, whether it's student loan debt relief, just getting vaccinated during the COVID pandemic. They rely on these trusted messengers, especially given a lot of people just don't like President Biden, and they recognize if we put his face out there, even if our polling on certain policies are good, people are going to immediately sour on this message because of who is delivering it.
But they might like Doja Cat.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like Doja Cat. I'll ask a lot of these young kids in the newsroom today.
The youths of today?
Oh, yeah.
So fortunately for Biden, his likeliest opponent is former President Donald Trump, and Trump at times says things that are not perfectly on message either. And he had a comment about maybe being a dictator for a day were he to return to the White House. Does that reinforce the argument that Biden and his friends are going to make against him in 2024?
It definitely does, and I think when you look at the transcript of Trump's comments in that town hall, it was one of those sort of ad-lib jokes that he likes to throw in. That being said, the Biden team is going to take Donald Trump saying, quote, well, not quote, I'll be a dictator, quote, except for on day one. They say he is a threat to democracy. And this is a message that President Biden hasn't shied away from over the last 3 years, but it's a perfect opportunity for them to sort of shift stream. For the last year or so, President Biden has been talking about Bidenomics and making his economic platform the central pitch of his re-election campaign. The polls would indicate that isn't working, and now they can sort of change their strategy without having to admit we made a huge mistake. and rolled the bowling ball down the wrong lane. We got to knock some pins over and get ready to take on this guy in 2024. We might as well remind people of the playbook we used in 2020, which earned us over 80 million votes, whatever the number is, and try to run back the score in 2024.
Is this duck pin or candle pin? The
You're going to have to ask Joe. I'm not a bowler myself, but what do you think?
Get a strike.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, Christian. You can read Christian and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.